All right, Culture Convo 2. Thanks for jumping in. Grant, welcome.
Yeah. Good to be with you
Brett,
guys.
welcome.
Thank you.
Me and Dan have been here.
Yep.
I'm back. Hanging out. You just gonna go for all 4 now?
Back.
Just keep it coming.
Old Terminator over there. Back.
Continuing this talk on idolatry tonight. Excited Pastor Louis is about to preach, talking about the idol of pleasure and where do we go for our comfort. Light topic on a Tuesday night. But a couple questions as we go in. One, we're all in ministry in some form or fashion, but it looks very different for I think all of us. What have been just some idols for you in ministry that I think often we can be like, oh, that's idols are what outside does, but I think in ministry we have them too. What have been idols for you in ministry?
Well, honest, I think one of the idols that I bowed with was performance, and matching up to everybody else around the place. And so, personally, I think that was one that I had to work on.
Yeah. I'd be curious if you can connect with this at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Because
You're such a performance.
because I've never talked about it a lot. I only talked with my wife, like on a conversation. Yeah, is I feel like there's a season every leader needs to graduate. The idol of ministry, the idol of almost turning your audience into like a means to your value. Like so, I don't know if you could. I'm sure you can sometimes just get past. I never did that, but I like a lot of us say like, oh man, it got me again, because it's so interesting how if you hear someone's story, usually it's something like, I was chasing this and I found my identity in this, then found Jesus, he freed me. And if we're talking about the leadership world, it's like, and then I started loving God, serving people, doing this, and then people noticed this, and all of a sudden I started focusing on what I got from doing this for God, but it's more subtle because it's for God, it goes. But the thing that I have found that I would say currently I'm like trying to wrestle through, is it right, is it wrong, is because I'm not preaching every week to the same group that likes me or doesn't like me or has heard all my good stuff. So I'm like, now all I have left is like, I need a fresh word. I get to do like my best messages all the time. And so sometimes now when I have to do new stuff, or I tell my wife sometimes, she's like, hey, how was it? You guys even ask, we're doing an event right now. And I found if I'm like, it was good. And she's like, yeah, but it doesn't seem like it was good. I was like, because I'm just used for it being the best. I'm like, it's amazing. And I just felt like it was just good. And I know it could have been better. And I'm trying to learn how to like the idol of, so maybe even sometimes it's me wanting to like prove like, man, that guy's just got it. Like the Francis Chan effect of like,
Or even that,
it's like, he was so holy. He was so like, and it's got to be raw and authentic and real. And there's times when I'm like, it just didn't happen for me. That I didn't want to force it. And that there can be an idol of that moment, that experience for me, that I'm still like, it does. Sometimes it's just gonna be pretty good. It wasn't amazing or something like that.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, I mean, I resonate with all of those things, whether that's, the idol of pride, wanting to make it about me, or performance, or living up to expectations and all that. And I think too, it's that thing of when my identity's so wrapped up in a role or a thing, that I'm playing, that I need this moment, or I need this opportunity, because this is who I am. But I've kind of found that it's when I realize that I don't need that, I can actually show up and serve that thing.
Come on.
And so that I think just needing, but the thing is that's not like a one and done, oh, I don't need this anymore. I do think God will free you and you move on, but I think every little season and every opportunity and every role, you've just got to kind of always be reframing and to say, God, I need you. And because I have everything I need in you, I'm satisfied in you, I can now step into this space and actually serve it and not try and get something from it. Inevitably, we do get something from ministry.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, it's true.
Yeah, but it's not like, oh, I need this.
Yeah.
I think just off the back of that, you sound like sometimes it doesn't get eliminated straight away, right? And I think we learn to catch it quicker though. And I think if we can do that, like we catch, I slipped into that pattern again. I put that first again. I'm going to catch it first before it becomes number one. I think that's important.
Yeah, that's huge. Talking about specifically the idol of pleasure, and that's really like answering the question, where do you go for your comfort? And that's where you'd find where that idol is, right? I think it's easy to see Jesus. I think every believer would say Jesus is the right choice, right? But he's not, or the holy choice, but he's not necessarily, I think in our minds, the enjoyable choice or the fun choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to. I should. You know what I mean? I should love this guy. Yeah. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think so many of us don't view him as a source of like practical joy? You know what I mean?
I really think that comes down to like your trained appetite, because it's like I'm in a season, and I feel like I'm being so vulnerable in this podcast.
So bad. Yeah, all on the table, man.
I'm at a season.
Turn the cameras
you know that moment you start looking at a couple because of the world we're in. You start getting a couple pictures sent back at you, and you're like, dude, I look like that. Like that, I'm getting big. So I'm probably the heaviest I was 2 months ago. So I'm like, gosh, I got to start eating healthy. The first couple weeks it was the hardest, and I feel like this last 3 weeks, even my wife and friends that are around, like, hey, I can tell, like, you, and I can tell myself I have more of an appetite. Like, no, I do. It is the most enjoyable, and the bad stuff is less enjoyable. But at the time, it because the appetite started to shift over. So I think in the spiritual aspect, there's, those. I mean, I don't want to. It's hard when these guys have not experienced what we just experienced. But there's a couple friends that are here that Daniel that just shared. Or there's certain friends that just love God. They've been intimate with Him. They've been close to Him, and I do think for them, even the idea of a pigment of something less than something that is holy really is like, no, they have that appetite, and they've been training it, and they haven't given in to a new different appetite or made compromises. And so that's what I would assume is if you have that appetite trained for Him, then He is enjoyable. But if not, or you're kind of compromising here and there, I'm sure there's times where he's like, he's kind of, it's more the should mentality and less of the like, absolutely no question mentality.
Man, that's so good. And I think that's so true about our appetites. I think another reason why is the thing that we're leaning on, whatever that crutch is, hasn't bailed us yet. And so, maybe maybe that's position, maybe that's getting that first salary, or and things are good, things are great. But what happens when that relationship goes away? Right. What happens when that starts to spiral into discipline? Right. Like maybe you haven't experienced. I love how Tim Keller says it. Right, he says that even a good thing isn't a great ultimate thing. And there's only one thing that can be ultimate in our life, only one thing worthy of putting our faith and our trust in. And so maybe you're putting your faith in, maybe, I think the easy thing is to say, oh, well, my job or my career or this relationship. But it's when those things start shifting around, that's when you're like, oh, right, this isn't actually bringing me the comfort I thought it was going to.
Yeah. I would say, adding on to all of that, is sometimes it's just hard work. Like finding that joy in that stuff, it just takes hard work. Like to want to forgive someone, it's probably more pleasurable to not forgive them and hold that grudge sometimes, but to forgive someone takes hard work. To have discipline takes hard work. To pursue a relationship takes it just takes hard work. And I think there's so many momentary pleasures that are easy for us. That we have access to. We go, okay, I'll just do that. I'll just do that. But the right thing to do, and the thing that we should do, and the thing that is healthier for us, is to pursue Jesus in everything. But if we're being honest, some of the stuff is just hard work, but it is worth the work.
Last question that we'll answer in 10 seconds or less, but I do want to hear from each of you. One of my favorite words for the Holy Spirit is comforter, that He is our comforter. How, like legitimately, practically, tangibly, how has He been that for you? And it could be now, it could be over the course of your life, but how has the Holy Spirit shown up as comforter, as your comfort in your life?
I think over this last year, we've been singing songs like Fall Like Rain. This is inviting the Holy Spirit to move in our lives. And think I've just experienced that closeness of a friend. You know, friendships shift around, and I think we've all experienced some sense of loneliness, particularly over the last couple of years. And so I just have felt and experienced the closeness of God to say, hey, you're not alone. Just keep walking with me. Keep in step with me. You know, take these steps. Keep believing in me. And he's just really kind, and just to kind of keep prodding along and keep moving us along. So just like as a strong, good friend.
Yeah, friend.
I think for me, the answer that immediately came to mind is how I physically feel it, the presence of God, and through the Spirit, like comforting me, would probably be, it's not like it's more just like the lack of striving, and a type of peace for sure. Yeah, it's just, I am very driven. I want to do things. There's that question I heard that's always helped me, where it was like, if your heart is light and your feet are heavy, you're probably in a good place. But be cautious whenever you sense your heart is heavy and your feet are light. You're always like moving one thing to the next. And as young people, we can like, okay, I got to fix it or do something. And I got a couple questions, I think, that assess my heart and like, all right, slow down. I got to just tell when I'm starting to like give it back to him. You do sense nothing has changed in my life. No circumstances changed, but there is a posture shift. There is a peace that comes from the Spirit.
For me, real quick, he's my father, and I belong in his family. That's it.
Yeah, that's what mine was going to be, is just as a dad and his just being fathered by God, and special and beautiful. So let's get into it. Summer in the City Night 2. Brett, you're about to lead us in worship.
Let's go.
You feel good?
I feel great.
Let rain fall.
What we singing?
Great song.
Okay.